Hey, I'm Klein from BrewBru, and today we're going to show you how to make up a batch using our Robobrew here. So we've got a nice Robobrew, so it's an all-in-one device. There's no need for a separate mash tun or anything, everything happens in here. So we'll walk you through how to do it. We're going to do a proper job clone today, at least that's the aim, so we'll talk you through the ingredients and stuff later. But just in case you've not used one of these before, so show you the inside here. Okay, so we'll take this all out. So this is our mash pipe here. So right in the bottom, we've got this little baby here. So that goes right in the bottom, and it's basically just stopping the grain from getting into the heating element right in the bottom of the unit. So that goes in first. And then generally what you want to do is now fill up your strike water, so that's your kind of initial batch of water that goes in, as much as you need, and get it up to the temperature you need. So what we'll do is we'll fill this up, and then we'll get the heater on. Okay, so we've got we're going 12 litres initially, or strike water. We might adjust this depending on how the grain looks once it's in. We've got 12 litres in there, so what we're going to do is just get it up to strike temperature. So the way that you do that on this unit is, first of all, you have to pause it, and then you just press temperature, and that'll then let you adjust it. And what we're going to do is we're going to adjust it down to probably about 68, I think, maybe 6. In fact, let's go for 70. So our desired mash temperature is 64 degrees. It's fairly cool just now, so it's about 9 degrees. The water temperature, as you can see, is about 6. So I think, hopefully, with our grain, once it goes in there, that should give us target temperature around about 64. But we don't have to worry too much actually with the Robobrew. That's what it's really good for, is once we kind of put our grain in, we're going to adjust that temperature down, and it'll keep it at that temperature, so we don't have to worry too much about it. We can adjust later. But we'll stick it on 70 just now. We'll turn both our heaters on. Now, make sure that your mash pipe is not in here just now. So the manufacturers do recommend that you don't put your mash pipe in at this stage. So I'm just kind of following their advice. So that's in there just now. And the other thing is, obviously, when we drop our mash pipe in, it's going to be cooler, so it's going to take the temperature down a little bit as well. The pump, so I've read bits and pieces on this. Some people think that it does get you up to temperature faster. I tend to turn it on anyway. It'll make sure that your pump is running clear, that you don't have anything kind of left over from last time. And it does just kind of recirculate the water, obviously. So yeah, whether it makes any difference or not, I don't know, but we'll turn it on. So we'll leave it until we get up to temperature, and then next steps. So now we're pretty much up to temperature now. So what we're going to do is mash in. So we're going to take all our grain here. So all we've got for this recipe is just 5.5 kilos of Maris Otter. So we'll mash this in. So what we'll do is we'll just swing this pump arm, or recirculation arm, out of the way. So just flip these little babies up, swing it around slightly, put it in there, stick that on, and then so we'll put our mash pipe in. So mash pipe in first of all. Okay, so that's in, and then so in the bottom goes this one here. So this is the one that's the kind of thickest not diameter, is it? But it's the thickest anyway. So pop that in. And then this little pipe, so this little pipe here, so these little spring clips just stick on top. Just pop that on there, like so. And then the thinnest mesh, so it goes on top. So we'll put that on. Go. So let's take this off and then put it on, make more make sense. Okay, and then top, and then you get a little rubber bung that comes with it. So that just pops over the top, so you'll see here, so that allows the water to recirculate down and right into the bottom of the unit. So we just pop that over when we put more grain in, and it just stops any grain from falling in there. I have seen some people kind of put tin foil around here to stop grain going down the lip. I don't tend to bother, to be honest. So we'll go for it. So obviously when you're mashing in, as they call it, so putting the grain in here, you want to do it kind of fairly gradually, and what you're looking to do is avoid what they call dough balls. Lots of terminology with brewing, as I found out when I first started. So dough ball is just like a clump of grain. So we'll just pop some of this in. Okay, and then we'll give it a mix. Oh, I wish it was smell-o-vision because it smells delicious. Okay, a bit more. We're looking for a kind of porridge consistency with it usually. So our temperature, actually, so it's maintaining our temperature, so what we'll do is we'll just pause that temperature and we'll take it down a bit. So 64, and that'll just keep us at temperature now. And a bit more. Oh wow, this is thick. Yeah, we'll definitely need another litre. I mean, there will be some water sitting at the bottom of this, obviously beneath that grain bed, but it's still just too thick. So let's get another litre. What's this? So that's us now up to 14 litres. 14 litres and 5.5 kilos of Maris Otter. Look in there. Lovely jubbly. This is feeling good now. Now what we'll do in a minute as well is we'll turn the pump on, and that'll just give us a little bit more liquid at the top as well, to be able to kind of really kind of mix this up properly. It allows us to kind of take some of this grain that's stuck on the side as well. So let's just do that now. They say you're not supposed to turn it with these cam locks on as well, but I've never found it does any damage, to be honest. Just get a little bit of water up here. Just turn that pump off for a second. Right, so if you have a look in now, Ed, this consistency. So we say porridge, it's thick porridge. Right, that's feeling good though. It doesn't feel like there's kind of any dough balls in there. It all feels fairly good in terms of consistency. So what we'll do is we'll just give that one more rinse. We'll pump on. Just give it a good soaking. Just turn it off again. Just give it one last mix up. Stuff that's right at the bottom. Oh yeah, it's looking good. Okay, so now we've done that, temperature's coming down to 68 now. That'll come down fairly quickly though. This is quite cool outside. So what we'll do is we'll put this plate on top, so this bit of mesh goes down on top of your grain bed. You don't have to push it down too much, so we'll just swing this arm out of the way. And this is usually why I don't open these cam locks is because you end up getting spillage and making a mess, especially if you've got a jacket like I do here. So what we'll do is take the rubber top off, just pop it down and just let it rest on top. You'll see some liquid starting to come through, and that's pretty much about it. And then the only thing left to do is you'll have this little gadget here. So this just allows a kind of whirlpool effect once we start pumping the water. So if you have a look in here, you'll see that there's one end it's just kind of fixed, same diameter, whereas here it's more of a cone shape. The cone shape needs to go up, so that just sets on top of our unit there. So we'll just push it down a little bit. We'll probably adjust that once we get our pump adjusted. So we'll just swing this back into place now. Put that pump in, and then we'll turn the pump on. Now what we're aiming for here is to get the pump adjusted so that there's enough water flowing up. The water's just seeping down through the grain, so obviously the kind of slower it seeps down through the grain, the more starch is going to get out of it. So what we don't want is, and I'll just demonstrate this because this is exactly the mistake I made when I first started brewing, was thought, oh, this is great, and I thought, oh, where's all the water going to go? And it will eventually sink down this little gadget here. You'll see the little whirlpool effect it makes shortly. Okay, so it's all getting sucked down, as you can see. Now this is how I started off, but actually that's not what you want. What you want is it literally just to be brimming on the top of that, so that it's seeping down much slower than what we've got here. So you just adjust this little valve, so that's fully open, that's fully closed, and you just got to kind of play around a little bit. You might need to experiment a bit just to get exactly the right point. So that's starting to drop off a little bit now. Probably still a bit fast. Yeah, so that seems to be settling off. Yeah, so you can see that there's virtually nothing going down there now. It's all naturally soaking down through the grain bed. So what we'll do now is we'll put the lid on, we'll set a timer. So we've got a, how long is our mash? It's 60-minute mash? No, 90-minute mash. So I'll put this on for an hour and a half. We might check in midway, just have a look at it, see how the colour's coming, but for now, see how we go. Okay, so we're 45 minutes in, so we're kind of halfway there. I'm actually glad we checked this because we'll turn this pump up a little bit. If you have a look in there, Ed, you'll see that the water level has dropped below where we kind of want it to be. I have adjusted that a couple of times as well, so what we'll do is we'll just crank that volume up a little bit. That'll start to come up, so that's coming along nicely. Oh, it smells gorgeous. It smells so good. So our temperature, you see our Robobrew is maintaining it nicely, around about 64, which is exactly what we wanted. So we'll just leave that for another 45 minutes. Now what I'm going to do meantime is reset another timer actually. Hey Siri, set a timer for 45 minutes. So we need to get our sparge water. So sparge water is basically just hot water that we'll use to rinse the grain bed out once we've taken the mash pipe. So that's kind of the pipe that sits inside here that'll have all the mash in it, and we'll kind of rinse water through that to just get the last of the starch before we boil it. So I've got a kind of boiler here, so what we'll do is we'll bring it up to temperature. So your sparge water, you want it to be a little bit hotter than your kind of normal temperature. So we're at 64 here, so what we'll do is we'll probably aim for sparge temperature of around about 70 degrees. So by the time that gets in and obviously drains through the grain bed, which will be out of that water, so it will be kind of a little bit cooler, and hence why we need it to just be that little bit hotter, so hopefully by the time it hits the rest of the wort, which will be in here, it'll be around about kind of 64 degrees. So we'll crank this on now. It's not plugged in. It's not that one. Anyway, we'll get this plugged in, and so we've probably got around about 20 litres in here. We probably won't use that, so the target, so because we're trying to make a little bit stronger brew today, we're going to go for a pre-boil volume of around about 21 litres. So then post-boil we'll have around about 18 litres. So normally you'd have around about 23 litres, 5 gallons, or 40 pints. We're aiming to just go have less volume, but hopefully a kind of stronger beer is the plan. So all being well, we'll try to get an original gravity kind of 1060 or above 1060 if we can. We might not kind of match that, but we'll see how we go on. But certainly having less water will help with that. So we'll get this sparked up, and we'll see you at the end of the mash. Okay, so 90 minutes are up. We've turned the pump off. So what we're going to do is lift the malt pipe out. So to do that, you need this little handle here, and just slots in. The one thing to watch for here is if it doesn't feel like it's kind of taken, it's probably because this malt pipe might just need rotated a little bit, because there are little kind of brackets on here that you'll see that we set it on in a minute. So now we've got that on. Now you can just lift this out. What I tend to do, what I've kind of rigged up here is I've got a little bit of a kind of winch here. So this cost me like £7 I think out of Lidl's for all you American viewers. You've probably got an equivalent Walmart or something. So what we'll do is just drag this down. I'm just going to pull this arm out of the way. Get my recirculation arm out of the way, dripping into there, and I just pull it down, and just hook it on, and then all we're going to do is pull this up, so it's roughly parallel, so just pull that up, and then once you get it up, you'll see you can just rest it on these little arms, so you see it in here. So you've got these arms, and just rest it on there and just let it soak through. So what we'll do is we'll let that soak for a wee while. We've got our sparge water ready, so it's up to temperature now. So we've got kind of 20 litres or so in here. And what we'll do is once some of that water is soaked through, we'll add in some sparge water and just let that kind of soak through the grain bed until we've up to kind of roughly what our desired pre-boil volume is. So we'll let that soak through, and I'll show you sparging shortly. So we've got 2 litres, so a 2 litre jug here, so 2 litres of sparge water, and all we're going to do is just pour this into the top. So the kind of water that was there when we lifted the malt pipe out is all kind of filtered down, so we're just topping that up. So you'll still have your little kind of gadget on top. So we're aiming obviously not to fill it up beyond that, because otherwise that hot water is just going to go straight down to the bottom. We're not going to get any benefit of it soaking through the grain bed. So it's kind of about an inch or so from the top, so we'll just let that filter down and basically just keep doing that until you've got your pre-boil volume. So what we'll do is we're probably going to need, I would say, at least 12 litres, so we'll do this kind of 5 or 6 times. I will just lift this out a little bit more. We'll see roughly where we are in terms of pre-boil volume and just keep topping it up until we've got what we need. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to get this off and move on to the next steps. Okay, so we've finished sparging now, so we put in 14 litres in the end, and that's taken us up to a pre-boil volume of about 23, just under 23, so a little bit more than what we'd like. That's okay, because it'll boil off. So what we're going to do now is take this mash pipe off, and then we can get this up to boil temperature. So take it off, obviously because a lot of the liquid's drained out of this now, it's not quite as heavy. So we'll just pull this off. Probably should have disconnected this beforehand, but it's okay. Okay, so just set that to one side. And then what we're going to do is we'll get our recirculation arm back in place here, and then we're going to set our, just get this winch out of the way again. Okay, and then we'll put our temperature up. So we're aiming for, so we'll put it up to about 101, 102. So we'll go up to Right, almost there. Right. And 2. Now we'll keep a close eye on this because as it gets to temperature, you get, and the name's escape me now, it's a hot break. So you get a hot break, which is kind of where all the proteins and stuff come to the top, and it creates like a really big boil. You get kind of a lot of agitation on the top, and if you're not careful, you can get kind of an overflow, which is what we want to avoid. So we'll keep a close eye on the temperature. As it gets near to 100, what we'll do is we'll just kind of get in a bit with a spoon and just kind of mix it up until we get what's called a rolling boil. So actually, if you look over here, so that's maybe a little bit lower than a rolling boil, but you're basically just kind of wanting it to roll over exactly as the name suggests. That's what we'll aim for here. So we'll stick the lid on this just to keep the temperature in a little bit, the heat in, and once we kind of get near that rolling boil, we'll come back on and I'll show you what's what. Okay, so we're just approaching temperature now, so we're at 100 degrees. If you have a look in, you'll see exactly what I was describing earlier, that hot break. So this kind of real big kind of bubbly boil, and all you've got to do is just kind of give it a good stir, and you'll see it just kind of starting to dissipate. And that's exactly what we want. And just kind of keep doing that until it settles, and you will see it'll turn into a nice rolling boil. So that's actually turning quite nice now. Might need to give it a little bit of a stir. Yeah, so it's just coming up again. Just kind of once all these proteins kind of start to get broken down, it should turn into quite a nice boil. That's almost there. And so what you'll find as well is, because we had quite a high grain bill with this, you tend to find that the hot break does last a little bit longer. Sometimes with a kind of lower grain bill, lower original gravity, you don't get a hot break at all. But because we're kind of quite high here, you do tend to find that sometimes it lasts a little bit longer. I would say that's pretty much us sorted now. So yes, that's a nice classic rolling boil there. Boiling away nicely, so we could just leave that, which is exactly what we're going to do now, for 60 minutes. Hey Siri, start a timer for 60 minutes.
Okay, 1 hour and counting.
1 hour and counting. Check back in an hour. Okay, so I forgot on our hops. So we've got 10 grams of Chinook and 10 grams of Williamette. So I've just sanitised scissors, just to make sure that we don't get any kind of dodgy stuff going in. Although, as I mentioned earlier, actually, because we're kind of right in the early stages of boil, it doesn't matter too much. It's mainly kind of after the boil that you need to worry about that. But every little helps. So 10 grams here going in. And look at that, exactly 10 grams. And then the same of Chinook. Smell good?
Smells like beer.
There we go. Okay. Okay, 20. So what I tend to do is get a little hot bag and we'll just fire them in here. And then what I tend to do is just kind of push them down to the bottom, tie it off at the bottom. That then just means that we can add in our different hops at different stages without having to worry about all this hop gunk kind of sinking to the bottom, which is exactly what I'll do. It's not the end of the world, but just help with kind of a little bit clearer beer at the end. So fire that in. What I tend to do is just stick that in and see if we can just pinch it on the side here. These are handy. They're not exactly what it's designed for, but it does the job nicely. And that'll just hang on there and boil away nicely. So our next batch of hops is at 30 minutes. So what you'll find with these hop recipes as well is a little bit back to front. So when it says 10 grams at 60 minutes, it means 60 minutes left of the boil, not after 60 minutes. So at 30 minutes we've got 10 grams Chinook, 10 grams Williamette, and 13 grams of Cascade. So that's halfway through the boil at 30 minutes. 50 minutes left of the boil. We've got 7 grams Chinook, 20 grams Williamette and 20 grams Cascade. And then this recipe has got 8 grams Chinook, 24 grams Williamette and 26 grams Cascade at a hop stand at 20 minutes. Now I don't have a hop stand, so all I'm going to do is, while the beer is cooling, I'm going to put these in while it's cooling, and that I think should be around about 20 minutes. I'm hoping that we'll get that same kind of aromatic profile from these hops put in at that stage, rather than have to worry about kind of hop standing or hop backing. And then we'll wait for it to cool. But for just now, we'll just let it boil and do its lovely thing. So our brew's coming along nicely. We're boiling away, just rolling down the river. So what we're going to do is add our next batch of hops, all pre-measured out. So as a reminder, 10 grams Chinook, 10 grams Williamette and 13 grams Cascade. So we're just going to fire it in here. And again, because we've got more hops to add, so we'll just do is push them down again, tie it off. Get that pulled up through. Come on, Jabby. There we go, and again just drop that in now. We might need to do, because, yeah, we're just going to drop that in now, otherwise it wouldn't have kind of hit the liquid, but it'll float to the top, so we should be able to find it without too much trouble when we come to our next batch. It'll be roasting hot, that's the only thing, when we come to add in our 15-minute boil, so that's in 15 minutes. So, hey Siri, actually don't worry because she's on her time already, she knows what's happening. We're at 15 minutes, so we're just going to fish out, here it is, it's floating on top as expected. Just going to fish out our little hop thingy as predicted, it's hot. So what we're going to do is put in our 15-minute, that's so hot.
Let it cool off.
Right, let's just leave it hanging there for a little bit. So we've got our hops kind of ready here. Smell-o-vision. They smell great. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire these in, and then in 5 minutes, that's 10 minutes before the end of the boil, then we've got a couple of important steps which I will talk you through. But yeah, we're going to add these just now, so that's kind of cooled off enough. We're going to have enough to be able to tie a knot in that. We should just have enough. Yeah, we should just have enough. Okay, so we can drop that in and join me in 5 minutes for next steps. Okay, so we're now at 10 minutes before the end of the boil, so what we're going to do is just put our counterflow chiller in. It's not going to be connected to anything at this point, all it's going to do is just sanitize it, so letting it boil for that 10 minutes. Anything, any bacteria, anything that might be on it will get completely eliminated during that boil. The other thing that we're going to do is just add some protofloc or Irish moss. So what that helps with is the coagulation of any proteins that are in there. So it'll just help kind of clear the beer, help define the beer. So any of those proteins that are floating around will kind of get attached to these Irish moss, and they'll just kind of simmer away, and they're much easier to just then kind of get rid of once you move it into your fermentation vessel. So you don't need much of this stuff. So I think it's about 1/4 of a tablespoon per 25 litres or so. So I've got a little spoon here, and literally just fire it in and just wait for the Irish fairies and things to do their magic in the pot. Okay, so we're now at 60-minute boil, so what we're going to do is kill our boilers, so we don't need them on anymore. We've got our last set of hop additions. Now I didn't have enough room in my last hop bag, so I've just kind of created a little one here. So we're going to fire that in just now. You'll notice that we've also put in our counterflow chiller. So we've got our hoses connected up, so this is just connected up to our tap. So cold water coming in here, will go around, the idea being that it just absorbs the heat, and the hot water will come out here and just going into my drain. So hopefully that will kind of cool down as quickly as possible. So what we're aiming to do is get the temperature reduced from 100 degrees at the moment right down to kind of low 20s, ideally 19ish before we pitch our yeast. So what I'll do is I'll turn the tap on. In fact, let's just turn the tap on now. Actually I can't because it's the wrong tap connected up. We'll turn the tap on and we'll keep an eye on the temperature. So it's 16, so it's 10 to 5 just now. Hopefully by, I reckon, around about 20 past 5, all being well, we'll have it kind of down to more or less about temperature. You tend to find the last 10-15 degrees does take kind of quite a while to just gradually lower down. It will jump down quite quickly, and then does take quite a while. But yeah, I'd imagine half an hour, 45 minutes, we should be down to temperature. So we'll get this tap on and check in later. Okay, so it's now just gone 5:30. It's actually been at temperature for 5 or 10 minutes or so. We've been diddling around doing other things, but we're now at 20 degrees, which is pretty good temperature. It's looking actually pretty clear, so the Irish moss seems to have done its job. So what we're going to do is we'll remove everything out of here, and then we'll transfer this. I'm going to transfer it into our Chronical fermenter, which is behind Edmondo. So we'll transfer it into that. So what we'll do is we'll just do a quick sanitisation on our, in fact we're probably not even going to use pipes, we're probably just going to dump it straight from here into there. What we're doing at the moment is just getting our yeast ready. So what I've got here is just a vessel here which has got some hot water in it. So I've kind of overcooked it a little bit. We're waiting for that to come down below 35 degrees. The yeast that I'm using, which is the one that was recommended, which is Danstar Nottingham yeast, suggests that it's rehydrated. Now, so I've kind of used a mixture of dry yeast, which you can just pitch straight in, and I've also used yeast which has been harvested previously. I haven't yet made a yeast starter. It's going to be one of my next projects. Watch out for a YouTube video coming soon to a channel near you. But this one suggests rehydration to get just the kind of the best action from it. So we're just in the process of doing that just now. So we're waiting for this to come to temperature, and then we'll put the yeast in here, let it do its thing, and then we'll pitch that into the fermenter. But what we'll do meantime is we'll get it out of here into our Chronical fermenter, and then we can pitch the yeast shortly. So tune back soon. Okay, so we've now transferred our wort from our boiler into our Chronicle here, our fermenter. So that's sitting ready, ideal temperature. So all we're going to do now is, so we've sanitised these scissors and the yeast packet, and this is now down to about 31 degrees. So we're just going to put our yeast in here. So we'll snip it off, and what it tells us to do is just to pour it in here. Just pour it in. Get as much of those little yeasties in there. Just give it a good stir around. And so what we want to do is just, we're going to leave that for about 15 minutes. We'll just put a little bit of a stopper in. So we've got one of these foam stoppers. Just sanitise it a little bit. Pop that on top. So we leave that for 15 minutes, and that'll just help the yeast to kind of what's the word? When they like suspend. The yeast will suspend. So we want to kind of see them suspended there in the water. And then what we'll do is we'll add some wort from our fermenter into this gradually until we get it up to roughly around about the same temperature as the wort, and then we'll pitch the whole lot in, and then hopefully tomorrow morning, tomorrow night, we'll see lots of bubbles. Bubbles means alcohol. Okay, so we've got our yeasties in here. It's all looking good. So they're all in suspension now. So what we're going to do is we'll add some of the yort. That's yeast and wort mixed together. Yort. Some of the wort into this yeast, and we'll just leave it to settle for a wee while. In fact, what we'll do is we'll just give that a quick spray san, just to make sure that we don't have any bacteria creeping in. Okay, give that a mix. So what we want to do is just take the temperature of that. So what we want to do is we want it to get to, oh no, I've put this on the wrong round. That's a bit of a blunder. So we've got our thermal well on back to front. It's a bit of a blunder, but never mind. So we're wanting to get this down to, so it was about 20 degrees when we put it into the fermenter. So we're at 28 at the moment. Yeah, just a little bit over 28. So what we'll do is we'll leave that for a little bit, and then we'll add a bit more wort in, and we'll just keep adding it until we get down to as near to 20 as we can, and then we'll pitch this into the wort and see how we go. So we'll just keep giving it a swirl, and I'll stick this on meantime. Okay, so we've got our yeast now mixed in with some more wort, and it's pretty much about temperature, so it's just slightly over 20 degrees, probably a little bit warmer than I would like, but once it's pitched in with the rest of the wort, the temperature will stabilise. So what we're going to do is just take this off here. We'll sanitise that before we put the lid back on. There's our wort, so we'll take this off. We're basically going to pitch it in here. Now the instructions on this yeast says it doesn't need aeration, so what I would normally do, especially with this kind of vessel, is use a hand whisk. So you don't need, you can get aeration stones and all sorts of kind of gadgets that will cost you money. If you're starting out, all you need is just a hand whisk. What I normally do is take the end off the whisk, make sure that it's sanitised obviously, so one of the electric whisks, plug it back on here, jam it in, and tests have basically proven that around about a minute, just over a minute or so of a good kind of agitation will get about as much oxygenation in there as you're going to get without use of an aeration stone. So that's all you need, but this yeast says that because probably it's been hydrated, that you don't need any of that, so you can just pitch it straight in. So all I'm going to do, I probably will give it a little bit of a swirl once we get the lid on, but we're just going to stick the lid on. In fact, let's do that now. So we'll just give it a quick star san. So just make sure that it's all sanitised. So that's all good. We'll stick that on here. Click our lids down. So we've got our bung in the top of the fermenter here, and we've got an airlock, which is also sitting in a bunch of solution somewhere. Here we are. Okay, so we've got an airlock here, which we'll just pop in. Job done, and then all we're going to do is stick it in our fridge. So ignore the heater, we'll sort the heater out later. All we're going to do, put this over here. We'll take this out. So this wood block I was going to put a sight glass on here. I'll come back to that in another YouTube video about the sight glass. I don't have all the kit that I need to be able to fit it right now, so the block was for the sight glass. But for just now, all we're going to do is stick it in our fridge, which is going to act not as a fridge this time, but act just as an insulation vessel. And then we've got a small heater in here, which goes in there. So my setup here, we've got an STC 1000 up here. So again, you can pick them up cheapest chips off Amazon or eBay, £6 or £7. I've just got a little housing here which we've popped it into. Again, look on YouTube, there's plenty of videos where you can find out how to rig these up. I don't have any cooling set up on this because it's middle of winter, so it's kind of 5-6 degrees most of the time. So all we're interested in is bringing this up the temperature. So I've got this set to around about 19 degrees, which I'll probably reduce. Actually, I'll probably reduce it down to around about 16 initially until we get our initial fermentation, and then we'll increase that a little bit. So all this does is it monitors the temperature in the fridge, and when it's too low it will kick the heater in. So it'll kick this little heater in here, little oil heater, about 15 quid. In America probably $20-25 I'd imagine. And all it does is obviously heats the fridge up. This is just acting as an insulation vessel, that's all it's doing just now. So it will raise that, it'll bring the heater on until it comes up to temperature. Once it reaches our desired temperature, it will cut the heater off, and it will maintain that temperature until it drops below, and you can specify what that threshold is. So I've got it set at 1 degree, so it will be 1 degree either side of 17, 16, whatever we decide. As soon as it drops below that threshold, the heater kicks in until it comes above, and then it'll cut out again. So we should maintain a fairly steady temperature. Now, the geek in me, because I'm a bit of a developer, so we've got a little Raspberry Pi here. So we've got a Raspberry Pi, it's got a little USB thermometer connected onto it, and obviously a network cable to connect it into our network. So a USB thermometer that goes in here. Now at the moment, this is just monitoring the temperature of the fridge. Had I put our thermal well the right way around, it would have been in the thermal well to get an accurate reading of the temperature within the fermentation vessel. But as it is, it's in the fridge, but it should be roughly thereabouts once it gets up to temperature. And it's set up to take a temperature reading every 10 minutes, and then it tracks it on my website, so I can see what the temperature looks like over time, how much variation is. I know it's geeky, but I just love it. So hopefully come back tomorrow and we'll see some bubbles coming out of this little baby. Okay, so I'm sorry about the lack of bubbles. I just forgot to record the video. So here we are several months later, so it's now the 25th of March, but I have got finished product. A lot's happened since then. For example, I've ruptured my Achilles tendon, so therefore I've got a special boot on at the moment, which is hindering brewing a little bit. My friend Ed, who recorded the video for me, unfortunately is not here. I was hoping he could be here to enjoy a sample. He has tried this. We did have a sample a couple of weeks ago before COVID-19 took over everybody's lives. So this is a kind of finished product here. So Ryan, my son, who's behind the camera right now, went and poured me this. So we just got a little wee taster, lovely and clear, turned out, nice little head on it. The taste is delicious. It actually matured really nicely over time. So after kind of 6 weeks or so, really got some lovely flavour started to develop in it. And it is proper job, it really is good. So we had an original gravity of 1062, final gravity of 1002, which gives us quite a strong beer actually, about 7.8%. So that's kind of what we were going for. Remember, we reduced the volume down a little bit to be able to get a higher ABV, and it came out really nicely. So really nice. I'd highly recommend it. I'll put the recipe and things down below. Feel free to comment and like, of course, and if you want to subscribe, you're welcome to do so. So thank you and happy brewing from BrewBru.